Hello, and welcome to OurHealth Urban, the health show with an urban perspective. I'm your host, Dr. Herb Smitherman. Chances are that either you or someone you know has diabetes, also known as high blood sugar. Today, there are over 25 million people known to have diabetes, with 1/4 or 25% unaware that they have it. An additional 79 million Americans are pre-diabetic or have blood sugars higher than normal, but not high enough to be diagnosed with diabetes. The amount of money spent by people diagnosed with or known to have diabetes is 2.5 times higher than those who don't have the disease. The key to preventing and managing diabetes or high blood sugar is first to have a clear understanding of what it is and know the risk factors and warning signs of this illness. So let's begin our program by answering the question, what is diabetes? Diabetes is a disease or medical condition that occurs when either your body cannot make insulin or cannot use it in the right way. Insulin is a hormone that helps your body use glucose, a form of sugar your body needs for energy. The cells that make insulin are in your pancreas, an organ located behind the stomach. The insulin made by the pancreas takes the sugar or glucose that is in your blood and moves it into your cells so your body can use the glucose for energy. When this process does not work, a person will develop diabetes. Type 1 diabetes makes up about 10% of the cases of diabetes in the United States and develops when the pancreas fails to produce enough insulin. Type 2 diabetes makes up about 90% of the cases of diabetes in the US and develops when the insulin made by the pancreas cannot be used properly by the cells. So for people who have high blood sugar, either not enough insulin is being made by the pancreas or the insulin being made is not working as it should. This then causes a number of problems in the body. Left untreated, diabetes can increase the risk of kidney disease, heart attack, stroke, amputation or loss of limbs because of gangrene, blindness, coma, and even death. There are warning signs that let you know you may have diabetes or are experiencing complications from the disease. These include being very thirsty, having to go to the bathroom often, losing weight when you're not trying, or feeling hungry all the time, having blurred vision, cuts or sores that heal slowly, repeated infections, erectile dysfunction in men, feeling extremely fatigued, and numbness or tingling in the hands or feet. There are also risk factors that you should be aware of. Risk factors are what makes you more likely to get diabetes. For type 1 diabetes, the risk factors are family history of diabetes or genetics, diseases of the pancreas, and infection or illness. Type 2 diabetes risk factors include being overweight, age over 45 years, not being active, a family history of diabetes, being pre-diabetic, being a member of certain minority or ethnic groups such as African Americans, Hispanic and Latino Americans, Native Americans, Asian Americans, or Pacific Islanders. A hemoglobin A1C test given by your doctor will let you know if you have diabetes. This test measures the amount of sugar in your blood. The goal is to have a hemoglobin A1C level less than 6.5%. If you have been diagnosed with diabetes, you will need a home glucose monitor that lets you measure the amount of glucose or sugar in your blood. It's important that you monitor your levels because they change throughout the day depending on what and how much you eat and whether or not you've exercised. Now you should also know that there is no cure for diabetes, but there are ways to control it. If you have type 1 diabetes, you take insulin to replace the insulin missing in your body. You will also need to learn how to balance your insulin with what you eat and your level of activity. Treatment for type 2 diabetes depends on your blood sugar levels. Your doctor may prescribe medication that you take by mouth or start you on insulin. But most importantly, and I can't stress this enough, if you have diabetes, you must commit to a healthy lifestyle. This means you should eat healthy foods and exercise or be physically active on a regular basis, which is most days of the week. A healthy diet combined with exercise has been proven to help control blood sugar levels. In fact, there are people whose doctor has taken them off medications because they were able to keep their blood sugar under control by eating healthy, exercising, and losing weight. And that's exactly what Reverend Craig Esther of New Prospect Missionary Baptist Church did. He was diagnosed with diabetes 4 years ago. but now has it under control through diet, exercise, and weight loss. But he'd be the first to admit that it wasn't until he lost his father to diabetes that he made the decision to truly change his lifestyle. Listen as he shares his story.
My story ranges from a time where I didn't go to the doctor and I got way out of shape. I was overweight. I was doing nothing. I felt sluggish. And it was right around the time when my father was at his illest because he was diabetic. And he told me one day that I needed to see a doctor, and that I needed to get a doctor that I liked so that I would continue to go. And so after he passed away, for him, I said I would go to the doctor. And when I went to the doctor's office and they began to take my levels and check my body, because this was the first physical that I had taken in about 10 years. And so when they began to check my body and they came back with the results, what they said to me first of all, which I knew, was that I was overweight, because at that point I was weighing 350 pounds. Doctor told me I had diabetes, and then he told me my cholesterol had levels that they had never seen before. So immediately I became afraid. And so after I left the office, upset because of my results and upset because I hadn't been to the doctor and I didn't want to do what the doctor told me to do, in my mind I said I wasn't going to do it, but in my heart I knew I had to. And so I began to exercise and stick to the diet that the doctors had given me. And after I began exercising and sticking to the diet and taking my medicines, I began to feel better. So after my first checkup, following the physical, I went to the doctors, and of course, he said to keep up the good work. I didn't get a report that time. He just said, keep up the good work, you're losing weight and everything, stay on your medicines. So 6 months later, I went back to see Dr. Harris. And after he came and did all of the tests and levels and everything, and he went back in the back and he came back and gave me my report, he came back clapping his hands. So when he came back clapping his hands, I knew I had a good result. And he said, you're controlled without the medicine, so you don't have to take the medicine anymore, but that does not mean that you do not have diabetes. You still have diabetes, but you just don't have to take medicine because the exercise and the diet is controlling it. So after he told me I didn't have to take the medicine anymore, of course I came home skipping, jumping and hollering, and told my wife I no longer have to take medicine. I just have to continue to exercise. And then the final thing, before I stop, that I want you to know and to understand is that you always need to take a yearly physical. It doesn't have to be because you're diabetic, it just needs to be because you want to take care of your health, so that you stay around for a little while longer and that you make the world a better place because you've continued to take care of your health. Thank you.
Although the number of people with diabetes in the U.S. has increased by almost 50%, with the trend expected to continue, Detroit has some alarming statistics. About 16% of the Detroit population has diabetes, as opposed to 8% nationally. 23% of all hospital discharges in Detroit are related to diabetes. And the preventable hospitalization rate for diabetes in Detroit is 132% higher compared to the rest of the state. Dr. Burhani Siyum is an endocrinologist who specializes in treating diabetic patients. He is currently the medical director of diabetes programs at Wayne State University and the Detroit Medical Center. Dr. Siyum, welcome, and thank you for being here. Would you say we have an epidemic in this city, Dr. Siyum?
Yeah, certainly we have an epidemic of diabetes in the city. Definitely, that's what we are facing in Detroit at this time. A lot of patients being admitted with diabetes. 1 out of 4 are diabetic patients in the hospital, and the readmission rate is a lot, and the prevalence and incidence is very high in Detroit.
Well, now, you've been in charge of some very innovative programs designed to reduce the incidence of diabetes in our community. Can you tell us about some of the work you're doing and the success that you're having?
Basically, what we did was for the last 2 years and a half, we were trying to screen patients presenting to the Detroit Receiving Hospital emergency room. These are patients who are supposed to have minor problems, which have simple things that needs to be treated and then send home with minor medications. So we are screening these patients for diabetes, and to our surprise, we have come across a huge number of patients with diabetes and pre-diabetes. And for these patients, we are trying to give the basic diabetes education to prevent the progression of pre-diabetes to diabetes.
Yeah, in fact, what you did was say, let's screen everyone in the emergency room for
Correct.
diabetes or pre-diabetes. Let's screen everyone coming into Detroit Receiving's emergency room. And to our surprise, even though we know that the amount of people or the number of people who have diabetes in our city is somewhere around 16%, you found that almost half the people coming into the emergency room either have diabetes or
Correct.
pre-diabetes.
Correct,
Can you
yes.
comment on that? I mean, we see this prevalence or number as 16%, but we found almost 50% within our emergency room settings.
Yeah, but mainly what has increased the number is a pre-diabetes,
Yes.
and those patients who do not know that they have diabetes. So the pre-diabetes is also a problem by itself. These are people who have abnormal blood glucose, but they did not reach to the level to be diagnosed with diabetes. However, on the other hand, these patients are also prone to develop all complications of diabetes. So this makes really the number very high.
So since we have an epidemic of this proportion, do we have a focused strategy for addressing diabetes in our city? Like, do we have a diabetic center? Do we have an initiative that can address this in a very, very broad and holistic way?
I think that's exactly what we need at this time to address this epidemic and the high number of diabetic patients in our community. We need to have a diabetes center focused in primary prevention and also in secondary prevention, and if possible also to go to tertiary prevention. All these levels could be handled by the diabetes center.
So do we have such a thing? Do we have such an institution within our community?
Up to now, we really don't have a well-established diabetes center.
Okay, so we're actually sort of in the middle of an epidemic, sort of without the troops, the ammunition, and the fort.
It looks like that.
Okay,
correct.
this is truly a challenge for us. Now, you and I both know that patients cannot win the battle of diabetes on their own. What part does the healthcare system play? What part does the healthcare professional community play? How do we as a community come together to really address this life-threatening disease?
I think what we need to do is, with the diabetes center, we need to really establish a researched, well-planned diabetes education program for the people to know what diabetes is and how to control it and how to prevent it. And the most important, like we mentioned earlier, is the prevalence, which is very high prevalence of pre-diabetes. And these are people which progress to develop diabetes. And these are the people who could really prevent the occurrence of diabetes. So with that researched and designed to our community, we need to serve a good diabetes education program for our patients.
So we have epidemic in diabetes, and an even broader epidemic in pre-diabetics. And we need to really address this as a community and as a collaborative.
Correct.
Okay, and somehow focus that in some kind of center,
That
in a way that we can address this real epidemic in a truly holistic way.
definitely is.
Thank you, Dr. Siem,
You're welcome.
and we'll be right back. Great job.
Here's an OurHealth Urban true or false question for you. Where we live, learn, work, and play can have a greater impact on how long and how well we live than medical care. Would you say that is A, true, or B, false? If you said A, true, you are correct. And understand that there's more to health than health care. A person's health and chances of becoming sick and dying early are greatly influenced by social factors like education, income, housing, and neighborhoods. Studies have shown that even our zip code may be more important to our health than our genetic code.
Detroit has some of the highest rates of type 2 diabetes in the country, which may be the reason why residents of the Osborne, Connor Creek communities on the city's east side are participating in a new program to reduce the level of diabetes in their community. The program is called Impact, and as OurHealth's Darlene Strickland tells us, the program is living up to its name.
I just love Impact.
That appears to be the consensus of more than 350 Osborne Connor Creek residents who have signed up as members of the program.
I love Impact because I learned so much from them. It really has helped me with my health. I'm eating better, which I used to eat terribly, but I'm doing so much better with my health.
Impact offers classes, activities, and workshops on healthy eating, physical activity, and medication management. Residents join the program for a nominal fee and earn reward points towards gifts and prizes when they participate in health-related activities. Gail Walters is Impact's program director and says the program is about connecting resources to people in the community.
We're currently working with over 100 partners in our program, and we are connecting those partners to the community. We want to take the resources that have been available for a long time and make sure that people there know what they are and can utilize those services, products, and the resources that those partners bring.
The goal is to reduce the high incidence of diabetes and high blood pressure in the 48205 and 234 zip codes.
There is a high morbidity and mortality rate in the Osborne-Connor Creek area. 1 out of 3 people have high blood pressure or diabetes. Those are the highest rates in the state of Michigan.
As an incentive, the program uses the Impact Health Card to encourage people to go to the doctor.
That card enables them to set goals with their provider, and as they go back and visit their doctors and they receive tests and for LDL, A1C, blood sugar, or blood pressure, they can turn that card in and receive a pretty high number of points. Those points are then turned in and redeemed for prizes. So people are becoming very involved in using their Impact Health Card, and that is self-empowering for them because they are taking responsibility for their health.
To learn more about Impact, you can call 313-288-9450 or visit their website at www.impactconnorcreek.org.
When beginning your fitness journey, don't make the mistake of committing a lot of hours to exercise. Less is more. You can start off with 10 to 15 minutes per day and 3 to 5 days per week. And as each week passes by, you can add 5 to 10 minutes to your exercise routine. And then you can start adding more days. And so go from 3 to 5 days per week to 5 to 7 days per week. Eventually, you'll be working out every day and improving your health. I challenge you, try this and you'll be surprised that less is more.
Green is the color of something most people want more of when it comes to money, but not so much when it comes to vegetables. In today's Healthy Eating segment, Dr. Akua Woolbright stops by Eastern Market to tell us the health benefits of eating dark green vegetables.
There are many great farmers markets in Detroit, but today we're at the granddaddy of them all, Eastern Market, where there is an abundance of fresh vegetables. The focus for today is dark green vegetables, the most nutrient-dense foods available to us. If you can, try to consume dark green vegetables every day, or at the very minimum, eat 3 cups each week. You can eat them cooked by sauteing them or adding them to soups, stews, or casseroles, or eat them raw in salads, sandwiches, or as wraps. Dark green vegetables are a great choice for weight loss and health management because they are typically low in calories and fat, but high in protein, dietary fiber, and a wide variety of other nutrients. We eat greens all the time, not even aware of how powerful they really are. Eating more dark green vegetables as part of an overall healthy diet may help protect you from conditions such as heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney stones, bone loss, and even certain cancers. There are many great dark green vegetables such as cabbage, broccoli, collard greens, kale, and Swiss chard. So stop by your local farmer's market and pick up some dark green vegetables and add them to your regular diet today. We're here now with Mood, one of our demo specialists, who's going to talk to us about preparing greens the healthy way. Mood, how do you prepare your greens?
So I'm going to show you how to make collard greens. And really quick, first thing you have to do is take the leaves off the stems. And this is called deribbing, and all you have to do is take your hand and slide it right across there, and the leaf comes right off.
Wow, that's a very simple technique. I don't have to sit and cut the green off of the stem.
No, not at all. It's really, really simple.
That's a great tip.
One bunch of greens will get you about this much. So I basically took them all off there, chopped them up into bite-sized pieces.
Excellent.
And so now this is ready to go. And first thing I want to do, I got a pan heating up over here. It's nice and hot. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the bottom of my pan. Just a little bit.
Okay. You didn't use too much?
Nope, I don't want to use too much oil. I just want to make sure there's enough to go at the bottom so everything doesn't stick.
Okay.
So I'm going to right to this pan, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic to it.
Okay.
And then let that garlic cook for a minute. And then I'm going to add, so right here I have some organic heirloom tomatoes.
Those are really beautiful. I see that you have them out on display.
Yeah, I walked into the store today, they look beautiful. I had to use them today.
Those are gorgeous.
So
gorgeous
these, I sliced them up really thin, and I'm going to add those right to this pan. And then stir those around a little bit. Just cook those for about 10-15 seconds. Kind of stir them around a little bit. And now I'm going to take my greens that I'd already cut up, and I'm going to add those right to the pan.
Okay.
And now I'm just going to stir these around. Make sure everything's nice and mixed together. This is going to take, like 3-4 minutes for everything to cook down.
Okay.
Nice. And then once we're almost done, we're going to add a little bit of lime juice to it. A little fresh lime, bring out the flavor.
So this is a very quick process. You're not cooking these for 2 hours the way my grandmother would cook greens.
No, we want to make sure that we keep the color in those greens so we don't overcook them and let all the nutrients leach out.
So this is going to really make sure that all my nutrients are still in my food.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
excellent.
And then now this is, we're going to cut the heat on this. And at the very end, we're going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of black pepper. So it's on the food right at the very end.
That looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
And our finished product, you're going to get a plate that looks just about like this.
Thank you, Mood. These may not be my grandmother's collard greens. They sure do look healthy. I invite you to try some of these tips when you're making your collard greens.
My name is Shane Bernardo. I'm the outreach coordinator for Earthworks Urban Farm. Earthworks got started about 15 years ago. We had a very humble beginning. We started as a small vegetable patch. The Garden of Unity illustrates really well, I believe, the work that happens here and also our mission, which is to help create a just and beautiful food system. One natural way that we're doing that is we're repurposing some of that land to meet our basic needs, to feed us, but also nourish our some of those other life connections that we've been disconnected from as well. We want to start addressing the root causes of poverty through our nutrition education program, through our youth entrepreneurship program, through our adult internship program, through some of the things that we're doing here in the community to redefine our relationship with food, change our experience around food, and in hope of creating a stronger sense of community, a stronger sense of ownership and connection to the space that we live in, and also heal ourselves from the inside out and create more sustainable relationships with one another.
1 out of 10 Michigan adults has diabetes, and it's an epidemic that's growing in Detroit. But our city isn't the type to take something like this sitting down. Now we can take matters into our own hands, because the latest weapon in the war on diabetes is just a text away. Text the word HEALTH to 300-400 to better understand your risk for type 2 diabetes and become more informed about the steps you can take to fight D in the D.
Before we go, one final thing. It's vital for us to communicate to our community that prevention is important. The goal is to prevent illness as best we can, whether it's diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, obesity, mental health, or life stress issues. We want people to engage in their own health in a way that is both satisfying and productive and achieves the goal of better health. That means first and foremost, taking responsibility for one's own health. That means watching what you eat and exercising. That means going to your doctor and being evaluated. That means having a primary care doctor that can help you navigate the healthcare system. And if you don't have health insurance, there are community health centers sponsored by the federal government in your local communities that can and will assist you with your care. We care about you, so please get up, get checked, and know your numbers so you and your family can live a happy and healthy life. Thank you for joining us today. Please take care, and remember, it's all about our health.